Today's episode is brought to you by Mazars. SoundCartel. While building an online business is much more accessible and cost-effective than ever, for some, the virtual leap can seem daunting. But it shouldn't. If you truly know your product or service and who it's helping, then taking the how online is a much easier prospect. From SoundCartel, I'm Nicole Goodman, and this is Business Essentials Daily. Tina Tower is the quintessential entrepreneur. Before she'd finished university, she was running her own educational toy store and a tutoring centre. That business evolved into a franchise model with 35 locations around the country. 12 years after it was founded, she sold it, travelled around the world for a year with her young family, and when she came back home in 2016, she launched a new empire: online business courses. It's a far cry from the days of running her previous business, a traditional business where growth, she says, comes from either hiring more staff or working more hours, neither of which was a particularly attractive option. Anyone can do an online course, she says. We all have something to share, particularly owners of traditional offline businesses. Tina's written a book, $1 Million Micro Business: How to Turn Your Expertise into a Digital Online Course. The barriers and costs to building a business online have plummeted in a very short space of time. For example, as she tells Chris Ashmore, when she sold her last business, a website then set her back $50,000.
And now I run a 7-figure-a-year business on a piece of software that cost me $119 a month. Like, it's the technology available now and the software and its accessibility too, because I'm not a coder. I don't like WordPress, death by plugin makes my brain explode. But what we can do now so easily with even Canva, which is like our online graphic design portal. I mean, back in the day, we used to have graphic designers paying $1 gazillion an hour or figure out how to do that ourselves. And now you can mock up anything on Canva, export it, post it to your social media, workbooks, webinars, whatever you like. And it's done in 5 minutes. It's amazing.
Well, building an online business, that's the topic of your book, $1 Million Micro Business. It is easy to do, particularly an online course. Is that right?
Yes. I always say it is simple, but it is not easy, because so much of it is a process and it is accessible, but so much of what it takes in any business, not just online business, is around, it's all a mind game. It's all mindset. It's all getting ourselves out of our comfort zone and being willing to do the things that we want to get us to the level where we want to get to. And while it's all simple and the goal of $1 Million Micro Business is to be a guidebook and spell it all out, to go, okay, here's what you do, here's the process to follow. Everyone will get to different stages of that and go, nah, I'm stuck, or nah, I'm out, kind of thing. So it's a simple thing, but it's not easy, which is why everyone doesn't have a successful business.
Any examples of an online course?
Oh my gosh, so many. Okay, so I'll give you some of my fun ones. There's one of my clients has a flute school. So she teaches flute to people all around the world. That's amazing. A florist that was really good at making flower arches for weddings. And other florists didn't know how to do that, but it's $2,000 for a flower arch for a wedding. And so she did a course with how to weave it all together and make the flower arches. So now a florist can do the course for $2,000 and do one every weekend, kind of thing. So it's a way to package what you know and help others so that they can help others. So the flow-on effect for it in online education is just beautiful. I love it. You can learn literally anything. I mean, the best one I've done recently, because I do a lot of courses myself as well, was organic gardening, was how to grow all my own vegetables. And for me, I was going, I had always experimented with just buying random stuff when I'm at Bunnings and sticking them in the ground and kind of hoping for the best. But I never knew when to cut them, I've been ripping up broccoli and lettuce, not knowing that it'll just keep coming back. And so you can learn whatever you want with an online course.
So for a lesson for business owners, an offline business, a bricks and mortar business, can complement their revenue through doing an online course.
Definitely, yeah. And I do think it's so important. I mean, it's been shown to us in the last couple of years how important it is to have a bit of an online arm in there as well. And for some people, it's not the best thing to totally leave traditional business and go all in on online. But I think for a lot of businesses, having that additional stream of revenue or being able to expand that reach with an online offering is so valuable.
And for anyone who's thinking of doing it, how long should an online course be and how much should they charge for it?
Oh, Chris, we're going to have differing opinions on how long and how long is it going to take to get started and all of that sort of thing. I am progress over perfection kind of gal, which for a lot of people, they're like, no, it's got to be perfect before I'll go. And I go for progress over perfection, but it doesn't mean crappy. And there is a difference between that. I think get it to like 95% and go to market, because whenever you put something out, inevitably, like after the first people have gone through it, you're going to change it anyway. So like start as simply as possible. And what I find holds a lot of people back is they'll come to me, because most people that come to me are business owners, and they'll go, I've thought I could do this for the last few years, but it just seems like so big and so many different things that I haven't gotten started. And I think starting is the hardest part. And so if you can make that as simple as possible, and for a lot of people, they're going, like, to answer your question, how long should it be? Don't start with like this 12-month bigger than Ben-Hur sort of program. The easiest thing is to pick one simple thing and do it in like 30 days or 6 weeks. A very, very simple course that can go out there. And then with pricing is probably one of the most difficult things, especially for traditional business owners, because we, like for me, with coming from my retail background, you buy something for $2, you sell it for $4. It's a very simple equation. In tutoring, we paid our teachers $40 an hour, we charged $80 an hour. Like we had ratios for different things. When it comes to online, there is none. You create it once and you're not having to work more hours. So instead of it being kind of that time for money exchange, it's the money for value exchange, which is a whole different concept for people that have ran traditional business. So really it's looking at what value are you giving and what is the perception of that and what return can they get, and then pricing it that way.
Well, in a nutshell, what kind of equipment do you need?
So it depends on how profesh you want to be. I have an iPhone 12 Pro Max thing, and it is so incredibly crystal clear and beautiful that you could get started with that. I think for your first one, you could teach it live on Zoom rather than pre-recording, which everyone's so comfortable on Zoom now. So it makes it very, very accessible. But if you're starting with a lot of money, so if I want to do it professionally, I've got a lot of money, I would go into a studio which costs around $2,000 to $4,000 a day. They're filming you from 2 different angles. You can bang out a whole 6-week course in a day and get it all done, and then online. And then it depends on whether or not you want to build your own course website yourself, or if you want to get it done. If you want to get it done, it's going to cost around $3,000. You can DIY in a week.
Seems to be a lot to do. Is it something that you can do yourself, or is it something you should really outsource much of the work to somebody else?
Depends where your area of expertise is. So I'm a big fan of DIYing and understanding the process behind it, because I see so many people outsource and end up spending a lot of money on something that they didn't really want because they didn't understand what they were asking for. So I think a lot of the time, understand the process. And if, for a lot of business owners, they're all busy with their traditional business, then you're going to outsource a lot of it. So that is a good idea to do. But I use Kajabi for my online course software, which is very intuitive and very easy to use. So it is pretty intuitive to do yourself, but it depends if you want to spend time or money to get started. Choose one or the other.
Well, that Kajabi, that costs about, what, $2,000 a year?
Yeah, in Australian dollars, yes. So it's $119 a month US. Yeah, so it blows my mind that I can run, 7-figure business from one piece of software.
So what kind of returns can some people get from having an online course?
It depends on how all in you go with it. So it depends on if it's something that you go, I've got my traditional business here and I'm just going to park it on the side of your website and kind of set and forget, then, you might make 5 figures a year out of it just clicking over. But if it's something that you go, you know what, I'm going to go all in on this. I'm going to do full live launches a couple of times a year. I'm going to put some marketing effort behind it. Then 6 figures, 7 figures, like it just keeps growing. Some of the top people with online courses in the world are making, 10, 20 million a year from them. Most people are making, around 50 to 100,000 a year when they're first getting started. And then if you really double down on it, it takes hold and just goes whoosh, which the growth is beautiful. I mean, it took me in my traditional business, I think it was 9 years to hit $1 million, and it took 19 months in online business. The growth is amazing because it's not proportionate to the amount of staff and training you need to have, which is what slows growth so much in traditional business.
So that's $1 million a year on the online courses.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Any final thoughts, Tina, on anyone thinking of creating an online course or building an online business in general, but perhaps is a bit hesitant for whatever reason?
Yes, 2. 1 is if you're thinking about it and dreaming of it, give it a go because you'll only regret the things that you don't do. So you may as well have a go and see what it's all about because it is so, it won't take you much time or money to experiment. So it's worth the experimentation, especially in this day and age that we're living in. The second thing, though, that I will caveat that with is the hardest part for traditional business owners is that they become the product. And so you do have to have some sort of willingness to go step into your personal brand and own your expertise and not hide behind a brand like you have in traditional business, but step in and go, you know what, I am the brand and I'm okay with that because I want to serve others. If you can do that, you'll nail it.
That was business coach and author of $1 Million Micro Business, Tina Tower. Business Essentials Daily is a SoundCartel podcast. Executive producer is Heather Dawson. Producers are Nick Schilberger, Chris Ashmore, and myself. Technical production by Pete Letts and Belinda Trimboli. I'm Nicole Goodman. Thanks for listening. We'll bring you more Be Daily next week. SoundCartel. This episode was brought to you by Mazars. To find out more, visit mazars.com.au. That's mazars.com.au.